Our show today goes like this. Simon Hill, Gary Portelli. What about Kamachi's win in the Sir Rupert Clarke? Chris Nelson, Racetrack Ralphy. After 7 o'clock, Brad Hardie. Chris Pike. Wildcats go on the court today against the Bullets after the big win on Friday night. Steve Shinners, your man. Wow, is he up and about? Jay Rooney. Massive meeting up in Hong Kong today. This is the preliminary final. Before the big one, International Day. So the 1,200, the mile and the 2,000 metre races all littered with stars. We'll have big bets, and then, as we said, from 8 till 9, Racing Rewind. One off the line, Shorty. Let's get it going for Retrovision. Bluey. How are you, Bluey? Bluey here. What a poor standard performance after quarter time by the AFLW Dockers. It's a hard game to watch often in AFL where their skill level's still poor, especially by foot. Sadly, too many teams in AFLW, not enough quality player depth to share around. Bluey.
Yeah, it was a disappointing finish to their season, Marty, no doubt about that. Only managing the one goal there. Adelaide went in as the hot favourites, and on their home deck, they were just at a different level yesterday to what the Freo girls were. They had a pretty good season, though, on the whole. Disappointing finish to it. It's going to take time, Bluey. The AFLW competition is just going to take time, and we've been grown up with a male competition where all the boys have played their entire lifetime playing football. Girls are still catching up where the situation where they've gone from under 8s right through to the senior football where they've all played football. It's been their number one game. There's still a lot of players from netball and basketball that are coming across and trying to learn the game later in life. When we get to a situation in 5 to 10 years where almost the entire playing group have played footy from under 8s right through to seniors, the quality of skills will be a lot better. There'll be a lot more females playing the game, and I think there's scope in that scenario for the game to continue to improve. So it is a bit of a slow burn, but stick with it. I think the upside is it's brought a lot of new females and a lot of new families into the sport of AFL, and that's got to be positive. It's going to be costly financially for a while, and it's going to take time, but I think in the long term, AFL will be one of the more popular female games in this country.
Brian from High Wycombe has sent one in. Had a good time at the Broken Hill. Great show. Everyone was in fine form. Gee, we got a chance to meet a lot of the people who always text in. They're regular listeners to the show. It was fantastic. And then again, even yesterday, they were turning up en masse at the Hut. It was really good. And we'll mention a few of them by name as we go through the show over the next couple of hours. But first, let's catch up with Simon Hill. A very good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Simon. Lovely to be catching up with you. Before we get into all of the World Game action, I want to put a little bit of blowtorch activity on our own local side in the A-League, the Perth Glory. There were hopes that in the off-season things could be on the improve, but unfortunately for local soccer fans here in the West, it's been a really disappointing start to their campaign. They've seen plenty of goals leaked up the back end and only one go in up our end. What can the Perth Glory do in the short term to try and turn around their fortunes?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. Obviously, David Strilic came in and there were, high hopes, and with new owners after that long hiatus where the club was in a bit of limbo, and I think fans were expecting to see good progress this season. It hasn't happened yet. The season is still young, so things can still change. But I think the fans would like to see a bit of progress, and unfortunately, there hasn't been much evidence of that in the first few rounds of the A-League. Now, David Strilic has said that some of his players haven't had a full pre-season because of injuries or late arrivals into the squad, and I think that's fair comment. But after this international break, which is over this weekend. Next weekend, it's the Unite round in Sydney. I think, Glory fans have every right to demand that their team performs a little bit better. And, results are great, obviously, but I think it's more that fans would like to see some evidence of progress. And that's been in pretty short supply over the first 4 rounds. So, yeah, big weekend coming up next weekend for Perth. They've got to show something on the pitch, I think.
Yeah, hopefully there's just that little bit of extra urgency and some green shoots. I think there's a lot of young talent, obviously, within the squad, and it's going to take time for them to gel and work it all out. But I think we're pretty proud football state over here in WA, and it's been really tough to watch what's gone on over the last couple of seasons. So let's hope the boys can turn things around. Speaking of turning things around, it looked like the Socceroos were potentially heading that way, but it was a disappointing 0-0 draw there last week, Simon, up against Saudi Arabia. It was a really good opportunity for the Socceroos to put a little bit of a break on the chasing pack behind Japan there. Unfortunately, though, they weren't able to hit the score sheet. Defensively, they were okay, but, geez, they would have liked to have snuck one or two through to the onion bag there on Thursday night.
Yeah, and they had plenty of opportunities to do that. A couple of chances that they probably should have taken. Brandon Borello opting to square the ball to Riley McGree late on when perhaps he could have shot at goal. It was a strange night in Melbourne. Australia had the better of the opportunities, but you felt that they were never fully in control of the game. The Saudis, they're a great football nation. They qualified for the World Cup on 6 occasions. They beat Argentina at the last World Cup, even though it didn't do them much good, and they finished bottom of the group. So, they produced some very good players. And in the end, you might even say that Australia were lucky to get a point because there was a goal ruled out by VAR after a lengthy delay in stoppage time. The Saudis thought they'd won it through Sultan Al Ghanam, but a very marginal offside call rescued a point. So, a bit of a mixed bag for Australia. And the strange thing is in this group, apart from Japan, who are miles in front of everybody else, they're going to qualify easily. That second spot is really up for grabs. There's only 3 points between all 5 teams behind Japan. And Australia are still in second spot on goal difference. And that's because Bahrain lost at home to China, which, again, nobody predicted on the same night. Australia now go to Bahrain, Wednesday morning our time. They need to win, basically.
Tony Popovic is bemoaning the slow starts by the Socceroos at this early stage of his tenure.
Yep, he's right. They took far too long, to find their rhythm against Saudi Arabia. It's becoming a little bit of a pattern. It was certainly the case against China in the previous home game as well. Eventually, they won that game, but the Saudis are, in my opinion, a slightly better team than China, and you can't afford to be off your game right from the off in international football. The good teams will punish you. So the last thing you need to be doing is playing catch up now. That happened against China. They had to come from behind. It didn't happen, fortunately, against the Saudis. And the second half, they were much better. But, we're a bit toothless at the moment. That's the issue. The last 5 games now, they've scored only 4 goals. 3 of those against China, and the other one was an own goal. So somebody's got to start putting the ball in the back of the net. It's an age-old problem. It's nothing new, but it needs to be resolved.
What are the prospects like for the Socceroos up against Bahrain, Simon? Recent history between the two sides. Have the Socceroos got reason to be going into that contest with confidence?
Well, the last time they met was on the Gold Coast only a couple of months ago, and Bahrain made off with a 1-0 win. Own goal from Harry Sutar in the very last minute of the game that deflected past Matty Ryan. Again, it was a game that Australia probably should have won. It was a game that they dominated in terms of possession, but same failing, not able to put the ball in the back of the net, and then they were made to pay cash late on. So they'll be looking for revenge. Bahrain are not in great form. They haven't actually won since beating Australia on the Gold Coast. So no win in 4, but they'll be equally desperate, of course, as well, because that was a big chance missed for them on Thursday night. They would have gone outright second had they beaten China at home, which most people expected them to do. So it's going to be a tough game. The crowd is fairly hostile, so much so that I think they've recently got a fine from FIFA for shining laser beams in the opposition players' eyes, all that sort of, paraphernalia. So, it's going to be a difficult evening, but they've got to deal with all that. Man for man, they've got better players than Bahrain, so they should win, but should and will are 2 different words.
Okay, just one final one. Back to their lack of scoring. A lot of criticism around Mitch Duke. What do you think about this situation?
Well, look, Mitch has been a good servant to Australia. He was a hero for the nation at the World Cup in 2022 with that goal against Tunisia. But the problem for Tony Popovich, you can throw stones at Mitch Duke or Brandon Borrello or Kusini Yengi even who came on late on. But the fact of the matter is that at the moment we don't have enough international quality strikers, and one of the reasons for that, and we're not alone in this in Asia, is that when it comes to foreign players, imports into the domestic competition, we tend to go for strikers because, they're the people who excite fans and they score goals. You only have to look across the A-League and see who's playing in attack for a lot of the teams, and they're normally foreigners. So, whether that has to be a policy that's developed where we say, look, we've got to go local with our attacking players because they need that experience. There are one or two. Obviously, Adam Taggart at Perth, but Tags is not young anymore. There's the likes of Luka Jovanovic at Adelaide United, probably not quite ready. Same story with Tommy Waddingham at Brisbane. But a lot of the other clubs have got foreigners in that number 9 role, and it's a big problem. But it's, as I say, it's not unique to Australia. There's a lot of Asian nations have the same issue. We have to try and find a solution, unfortunately.
Well done, Simon. Always good to catch up. We'll do it again next week.
Good on you guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, Simon.
Yeah, very quiet week as far as the World Game is concerned. Gary Portelli was going to be up next, just having a bit of trouble getting hold of him. But we've got another one off the text line here from Retrovision. Hi, guys. Bluey again. Can you tell me the locations for next few weeks racing on the road? Might have a Friday Arvo off and come and see the guys. So this Friday we're at the Gate Bar and Bistro down there in Success,
opposite Gateway Shopping Centre.
Yeah.
If you've never been there before,
what a place!
You can get the train along the train line there, jump off, come and have a couple of coldies and enjoy the lunch, and then jump back on the train and get somewhere close to where you'd like to be. If you're from north or deeper in the south, down Mandurah way, jump on the train, jump off at the station there at Gateways, and it's about a 2-minute walk to go and have a couple of coldies and a fun lunch. Marty.
Yep, and the third week we'll be at the Mundaring, so looking forward to catching up with Butch O'Connor and the team there. Week 4, we go to the Brook, and week 4 we go to the Kingsway, and in Darch, and in week 5 we go to the Brook in Ellenbrook. So that's our lineup of racing on the road. And, some of the guys that we met there yesterday and on Friday included Greg L. He's a ripper. Good to catch up with Tony again from Woodvale. Elko come up yesterday and declared us Briasa and got the money.
The grey horse, yes.
Got to say, yesterday, Richie Bell, he must have tipped on air 10 winners.
He was on fire.
I mean, 10 winners.
He was hot. Yeah, I was tuned in for most of it, and Richie follows the form all over the country. We're certainly seeing them very nicely. Marty, I love what we're doing there with Racing on the Road and with our listeners. It's a real family and community, the racing community, and often we all sort of know each other without knowing each other. So if you get the opportunity to have a Friday lunch and get involved, come along and come and say good day. Introduce yourself. Don't be shy. And
they're not.
That's great. We're all part of the same team. Marty, and it's great to meet all the different people that tune in and contribute to our programs.
Group 1 racing from Caulfield yesterday. Here's the Rupert Clark.
Metres by a length to War Machine, who's trying to grind it out. Jimmy Star needs a run badly behind those horses. Then came Gentleman Roy. Charmstone's run up behind them. Another Will is coming on, and they were followed next in the field by Kamachi. Another Will went to the front. 200 metres to go. Kamachi's a real threat. Another Will, and Nick in front. Kamachi trying to big him up. Another Will grabbed by Kamachi. Kamachi just in front. Kamachi wins it. And Nick, another Will.
Yes, Gary Portelli puts the polish on Kamachi. What a good win that was in the Sir Rupert Clark Stakes yesterday. Well done, Gary. Welcome to the aftermath.
Thanks very much. It was a fantastic day. Really, really was.
Indeed, and great to be catching up with you again this morning, Gary. We spoke to you at the start of the preparation for Kamachi, and it took a little while to get to exactly where you wanted to be, but you were rewarded there yesterday with Kamachi getting the job done. Of course, returned with that victory in the toy show. A couple of runs where it was around the place in the Manikato behind Southport Tycoon, only beaten 2.4. Was close up there in the Silver Eagle behind Ostraka. Last time out, beaten less than 4 lengths in the Empire Rose behind a tissue. But yesterday was a real gilt-edged opportunity, and Kimochi, the class really came to the fore late. Another Will was really doing its best to hold out Kimochi, but you would have been really proud with the way that she finished this race off yesterday.
Oh, we were. He's a hard horse to get past Another Will. And when she came at him, I thought, when you usually see a horse come out of the pack like she did, you usually, get past the horse in front of you. But when it was Another Will, I thought, oh, God, he's a horse doesn't lay down. He's probably going to another gear when he sees it coming. And he did. He fought back strongly. But she had that momentum and the weight, and that was the thing about handicaps, isn't it? It brings a horse that might have been just racing below, them at set weights and penalties races, and then you get a true crack at beating the same horses that often beat you at the level weight. So, with 52 and a half on her back yesterday and a brilliant ride, today was her day.
Yeah, we'll get to Craig Williams in a minute and his record in the race, and as you said, a brilliant ride. But I think this was some brilliant placing by yourself as well. Great training to come back from the Empire Rose, find a 1,400-metre race off the mile at Group 1 company. That was it always that plan, or was it an afterthought?
No, it was always there. We had a list of races that were available for us, and we just were going to basically let the flow of the river take us to the right races. And as it turned out, we started off really strongly by winning the Toy Show. Fourth in a Manicato. It was an enormous run that night. 3 deep, no cover the whole way around the valley and still there at the finish. Might have taken a little bit out of her, more than what she let on. Her next start, she was a bit flat, ran fourth, and then over-raced over the mile at Flemington. And she just done so well after that run. It was amazing. She came back from Flemington to my stable at Warwick Farm, and she was you just knew she'd gone on a new level. There was an aura around her. And, she worked brilliantly Saturday morning, so strong. It was ridiculous how well she worked last Saturday. And I just said, I'm going to keep her fresh for the rest of the week. We just trotted Canada, kept her happy, travelled down Wednesday night. We stayed at Godolphin, and thanks very much to the team at Godolphin for letting us stay there. And then we just needed a good ride from a tricky barrier. And it was textbook stuff from Craig Williams.
It speaks wonders of how well you know your horse. To be fair, Gary, Marty touched on it. The programming was great, but for you to pick up on those little signs that she was ready to peak and go again to another level is really good knowledge base of the horse and what was potentially there for another Group 1 performance. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling this morning, because when we last spoke, you discussed at length how grateful you were to have the opportunity to go on with Kimochi, with the team from Yulong, who, it must be said, are absolutely flying at the moment. The camp have got things going very well, but you spoke about how grateful you were for the opportunity to keep pushing on with Kimochi, and you've repaid their faith in spades. You must be delighted with how that's all panned out and for that faith that they have put in you.
Look, I don't think I realised how much pressure I was under till my partner Renee actually said to me last night, this was a big thing that happened yesterday for us and Yulong. We did win first up, that's great, but we've been beaten a few times since. They've had a massive carnival. They've won 6 Group 1s over the carnival with, Chris Waller and whatever trained their horses. And I'm new to the camp, and this is a horse that they'd paid a lot of money for, and they bought her with the potential that she had to win a Group 1. Basically, that was the only thing they said to me when they bought her and entrusted me with her, that I was to win a Group 1. That's the whole reason for going on with her. And so a bit of pressure on. I don't let that get to me in my daily sort of routine. I've got to block all that sort of stuff out, because I think when you're desperate, you do silly things, and you don't want to think you're going to lose if you do this or whatever. You've got to just stay to your plan and just train your horse. And that's been years of probably experience, I suppose. If I was younger, in my 20s, I might have, galloped harder or did something, out of the box just to try too hard. It's like trying to, hold on to sand. The more you grip it, the more it slips out of your hands, and that can often happen when you're training racehorses. You can do too much. And I learned very early in life with training is that sometimes the less you do, the better they go. And that was the difference this week. We gave it a nice workout. It was a strong, controlled gallop last Saturday, and we backed right off this week and just trusted the filly. And, God, she looked good in the birdcage yesterday. She was the boss yesterday. She looked so good. And, I don't know, it was just a really weird feeling from the time I woke up yesterday morning that she was going to do the job, and it was just a ridiculously easy race to watch. You know, he just snagged it, got back, got cover, everything he told me he was going to do, Craig, because he was super confident. It just unfolded exactly what we needed to see. It kept unfolding, and like I said, the only time I was worried I saw was another Will out in front, and I thought, God, I've bet around him a few times, and he's broke my back, and here he is again. He's probably going to beat me in a Group 1, this bugger now, and we're just lucky enough that we had the petrol and we just went over the top of him.
Yeah, well, just stay on Craig Williams for a tick. 7th win in this race. So, for a starter, 1,400 metres at Caulfield, he knows his way around it. And you're saying, well, I'm in your hands now, Craig. And he serves that one up. Like, it was a brilliant ride from barrier number 13. I know you've said about how good it was, but when he cut out on the corner, because you had those two from back in the field, Southport Tycoon and Tuvalu, starting to make up ground from behind you, and he almost just come out enough to force them a little bit wider as well, take a bit of their running, and then set out after another wheel. It was just a magnificent ride.
Yeah, one for the apprentice school for sure, wasn't it? You know, and this is how good a rider this guy is. On the way to the barriers, he felt that she was keen, and he watched the video last start at obviously the last run at Flemington when she over-raced with Huey on, and he said, I'm going to have to shut you down very quickly out of the gates, just because he felt she was going to be keen. Even just cantering to the barriers, he felt this horse was going to be too strong for a wide gate and probably get trapped wide. So he said, I'm going to have to, have a good talk to you out of the barriers, he said. Yep. And he grabbed hold of her and he just shut her down. He threw her across to the inside, got one off. Within 100 yards, he's got a back to follow. And it took a while for him to get her to come down. She was going to over-race for a while, and he got her back, and then the race was fair dinkum. They were run along. There was a gap between the field and her for a little while there, and you're still worried. You're thinking, okay, is she going to quicken? Because these horses are running, the good horses in front of us. And then, as he said, he came to the corner. He took a couple of the better chances off the track with him. And then she switched on the new leg. And I love seeing horses come around the corner on the right leg, the Melbourne leg, and then switch on the Sydney leg as fast as possible. They accelerate off that. And then it was game on. So, it was a long last furlong.
Gary, that's a wonderful insight into Craig Williams as a jockey and a human being. Just being able to really, I talked about how well you've read this mare with the work leading into the race and then placing her into this race. But then a next level again, here's your pilot on race day that's doing that extra bit of research, looking at what's happened the start prior and having, it's one thing to think it, but then to be able to actually get the horse to relax and settle and come back under. There's a lot of people that jockeys that might think, I'll try and do this, but they don't have the ability or skill set to actually be able to get the horse to calm down and relax and come back under them. Over years and years of riding and knowing his horses, Craig Williams has got that elite ability to be able to get horses to be comfortable underneath him, and it's probably one of the more underrated skills that jockeys themselves at this top level can actually have.
Well, there's a reason why these guys keep winning these Group 1s, mate, and not because they just get the best rides. There's a lot goes on. They're not cars. They're animals, and they can change from week to week, or, they can race strongly between. I've never ridden in a race, obviously, but you just imagine a horse over racing, getting amongst horses. There's horses all around you. You're getting close to heels in front of you. You've got to get that horse into a rhythm where it actually is breathing while it's running, and that's how the best jockeys, they sort horses out. I remember watching last week Via Sistina. She was over racing down the back, and J-Mac just, I thought this is going to be interesting. If she doesn't drop her head in a minute, she's going to find the 2,000 a long way for her. And they've just got this ability that, some haven't got, to be able to get a horse to come back, relax, breathe, and then finish the race off. And that's why they win these top races all the time. Where
to now for her?
She goes to the paddock during the week, and then we'll work out a program. Vin Cox and Sam Fairgrave will all sit down and we'll have a look at what we're going to do. And but she's good fresh, so I'd like to aim at a proper race first up weekend, because I think she's unbeaten first up. So yeah, it'd be nice to come up with a good plan again. And she's a Group 1 winner now, so it's all just icing now.
Gary, you can breathe easy yourself. Never mind the horse breathing within the run. You can probably breathe a little bit yourself now. I know that you've mentioned on the way through that you try not to allow that to put pressure on yourself and dictate how you're going about things. But now that you've actually achieved the goal that was set down with you, I guess as a trainer now, you can really look forward with great positivity, but also with a little bit of sense of relief and knowing that pressure isn't potentially there. You still want to do well with the mare, no doubt about that, but the initial goal's now ticked off and you can go about your business.
Exactly, and then, like I said, I try not to let them things play on your mind, but it's always there in the back of your head. But it's going to be a different feeling this week, that's for sure.
You're golden slipping winner tray. You eat this for breakfast. Don't worry about that. Now,
mate, I've got more pressure on me. I've got 3 chances at Goulburn on Monday. I'm worried about them now.
Hey, I want to go to Kembla yesterday. I like the look of this Verona Rose, the Castle Vecchio filly.
Isn't she a cracker?
Yeah.
I buggered up there. She trialled really nicely. She worked with a horse called Miss Hades during the week at a last gallop, and she's match motored with Miss Hades. It just got beaten town the other day, and here she is at her first start in the maiden at Kembla. Drew barrier 1. I said to her, and she got a pedigree, like her whole pedigree is full of 2,000 plus, 3,000 metre horses. We bought her as an Oaks potential, with Oaks potential as a yearling for 30,000. And she's showing good speed, but I just thought 1,300 first start in the race. I'm not going to tip her. We just hope she runs well first up. And I said to my pre-race to the owners, just hope to see her getting through the line strongly. Know that she's got a motor, and we can give her a break and bring her back for the autumn carnival. I really want to aim her at the Oaks. And she gets up at $26.
Yes, that's tough.
I don't know if I'm still going to be training that one next week now.
I think they'll be able to forgive you, particularly seeing the ability levels there and what's in store. You speak of that pressure going to Goulburn on Monday. You've got Flying Argento, Grey Genta and Stormfield all going to the track there on Monday. For our loyal listeners that are up nice and early with us on this Sunday morning, is there one of that trio that we can maybe have some hard-earned on?
Yeah, I think Flying Argento, he's got to get past John Sargent's horse in the race. I think it's a pretty smart horse. But this bloke, I started him in the Spring Champion Stakes and was ridden pretty poorly. He only got beat 7 lengths in a Group 1. He's in a Class 1 and maiden at Goulburn over 2,100. I gave him a trial in between just to get his confidence up. He won that trial. I think he's a great chance to motor each way. I think he should be each way odds anyway, so I think the favourite will be pretty short, but he's a great chance.
Okay, Gary, thanks for coming on the show this morning. Continued success.
Let's hope I'm talking to you again very soon.
Yeah, you love it.
Good on you, guys.
For very good reason. There he is, Gary Portelli, great mate of all of the presenters here over at Tab Radio. We've got to take a break because
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on the Aftermath. Sunday morning at its best on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Very good morning, Chris Nelson.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Shorty.
Great to be with you, Chris. Hope you enjoyed your Saturday. It was a very busy afternoon of racing there at Newcastle. Also, the sunny coast. We'll start at Newcastle with a Group 3 Spring Stakes over the mile. And the Irishman, Dylan Brown McMonagle, steering Snitson over to success, defeating French Ruler and Dame Commander. They were all coming hard late, but Brown McMonagle got down and got serious over the concluding stages and punched Snitson over out to what was a pretty impressive victory, Chris. Lightly race type, only having its third start there yesterday, this daughter of Snitzel, and she looks to have a pretty bright future ahead for Kieran Maher.
Yeah, she certainly does. And the Irish are taking over, aren't they, guys? We had Robbie Dolan win the Melbourne Cup. We've got Luke Dempsey riding winners up here. We've got this guy now, Dylan Brown McGonigal. McMonagle. You've got a better pronounce than I did, Shorty. Well done. But look, very impressive Snitson over because sat 3 wide basically all the way from the 1,200 metre mark, wide, no cover. Very, very good effort. It was a sitting shot in the straight. And as you mentioned, they were all coming for the horse late, but he was able to hang on. So a tough win and a horse that must be followed. French Rule, I thought, was good, weaving home from the back of the field. The 300, who led and was well in the market, pulled up lane, 2/5 lane, so we can forgive that run. But for mine, guys, all honours with Snitson over.
I think I heard during the week that he owns the best greyhound in Ireland. They reckon it is like the best greyhound that they've seen for decades.
Yeah. Wow.
And he's a part owner of it.
Excellent. I'll tell you one thing, you can follow him with absolute confidence, Chris O. This fellow, watching his work in recent times up there in the UK and Ireland, he is riding in wonderful fashion. So if you like one with D. Brown McMonagle next to the name, you can bet with confidence this guy can flat out ride.
How long till he's just known as DBM?
Yeah.
It's going to happen very quickly. DBM.
Might not be too long.
Yeah.
We move on to the next racer on the program. It was the Group 2 Hunter over the 1,300 metres and the Grey Galloper Briasa getting the job done, defeating Felix Majestic and Cole Crusher. I did hear a snippet last week with Wayne Hawkes, and he said, this is the best horse we've got in our camp right now. They expected it to run well, and they would have been very, very happy with what they saw from the 4-year-old son of Smart Missile there yesterday.
Yeah, and another really tough win. So similar to Snitsanova, sat 3 wide, no cover from the 1,200 metre mark. Still travelled okay into the straight, but she had to wear down Felix Majestic, who'd run along in front, as we know he can do. And I thought that effort was outstanding. So those 2 winners out of those 2 main races, clearly the runs of the race, the 2 horses to follow. Briasa now goes for a break. I'm sure we'll see this horse turn up in the autumn somewhere. Chrysor was good running on, probably comes to Queensland, I would think. Private Eye, I don't know what to make of him now. He was last on the home turn due to that wide gate, and he only really got going the last 100 metres of the race. He did find the line strongly, but there wouldn't be much left for him now, so you'd think he'd be going for a break. And the poor old Far Too Easy, well, he blew the start, and he was never in the race and struggled. He was vet check post-race, all clear apparently, but yeah, that was a very subpar run for him, but there were probably excuses.
Yeah, it could be a few horses that have had their grand finals there as well and maybe ready for a break. The Beaufort, race number 9, it was Nick House Spur, the winner for Timmy Clark.
Yeah, great result here, Marty, for our local trainers in Corey and Kylie Gearan. Mother and son combination out of Toowoomba. This horse, Nick House Spur's been flying up here. Super consistent, 2,300 metres, no problem. He'll just keep on running. He was able to wear down the leader's lap. He did travel very well approaching the home turn. I thought he was a big chance. Got home over the top of Herman Hess. Naval College, I don't know if he would have won, but he certainly should have finished closer. He got a pretty bad check there at the 200 metre mark. That was costly. He did get going again late. He was beaten just over half a length. Wycliffe never got into the race. It was well fancied and is going for a break, so we don't have to worry about Wycliffe for a while. Mikhail Spur will probably come back up here and be a force in some of our distance races over the summer carnival.
Yeah, as is generally the case this time of year, there's a lot of horses that come to their end of prep runs quite abruptly before going for a break. There are a couple in that particular race there yesterday. Let's switch our focus to the sunny coast yesterday. Chris, plenty of rain around in the build-up to this meeting. The track ended up being a heavy 8, working through the better performances of the day. The first of them we can touch on with some fond memories, Chris, because this was your best bet on the program in race number 5, the Class 3 plate Transatlantic for Angela Jones, defeated Miss Jolene and Billionaire Baby.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the, by the time they started, it was everyone's best bet because, they really came for Transatlantic and it looked his race. He was quite good first up at 1,200. It was just too sharp for him, but 1,400 metres, his second up record is very good. And there was no speed in the race, so Ange Jones was able to just cruise across from that wide gate, find the front, and that last 200 metres, he really put them away, and he won by 4.8 lengths officially. He'll get better over even further. I want to touch on this race as well because the listeners need to follow him. Tony Gollan, I know personally, has always had a really good rap on this horse, and he thinks he'll go places. So you could do it far worse than listen to Tony Gollan.
Correct.
And if he says this horse is going places, then I'm agreeing with him. So Transatlantic, the one to follow out of that.
Chris Lees and Australian Bloodstock they've been having a very good run of late, and they get in the park up for Andrew Million. Yeah,
Nathan found this yesterday morning, so well done to him. It was a good run. I thought Redford I thought the winner was good, but I really liked the run of Redford. One of Stuart Kendrick's, only lightly raced, was formerly trained in New South Wales. Now, went forward early from the gate, couldn't get in, then they drifted back. Then he was buffeted really badly. Have a look at the replay. He really copped a buffeting at the top of the straight, but he didn't throw in the towel. He got going again and he ran on into second spot. So, look, with a bit better luck, he may have been able to turn the tables on Inver Park, but he's certainly worth following. Naval Trader was also engaged in that buffeting at the top of the straight. He got going again, ran on into fifth spot, so his run was quite good.
All right, on to race number 7. This was the Doc Malublabar 3-year-old quality handicap. A punter getting the job done with Taylor Marshall aboard, defeating Noble Decree, and can't recall one.
Yeah, ridden an absolute treat here, Shorty. Was a punter from the inside gate. Now, they needed to get off the fence yesterday, and they did. They sort of all swung to the middle of the track on the home turn, but look, he was able to be off the fence but still nearer the inside and cut corners and was too good for them. Coming back from 1,500, a good effort, but he looked to be searching for further. Maybe that track yesterday felt that way. So he's a horse well worth following. He's been up for a while. He might go for a break. Noble Decree ran second, still a maiden. That was a good effort, and Can't Recall One was a good effort as well. Punter probably spells, Noble Decree the one to follow.
Okay, and Kerchak won the Malulabar Cup.
Yeah, Malulabar Cup went to Kerchak. He's flying at the moment. He's got a great record. He was able to drop back from 1,800 to 1,600, so all credit to him. Poetic Drama was there. She had her chance. She may have been a run short. She was 3 weeks between, and Brookhaven ran on quite well into third spot. So follow the first 3 there.
Beautiful. Chris, anything for the punters on this Sunday to be following?
No, nothing to follow at this stage, Shorty. We're going to Townsville today. I've done the form, but there's nothing I want to recommend. So we'll just keep the powder dry until next week.
Sounds fair to me. Good on you, Chris. Appreciate your time as always. We'll chat to you next week here on TAB Radio. Many winners.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Chat then.
See you, Chris. We welcome along Racetrack Ralphy from racetrackralphy.com. A very good morning.
Good morning, boys. Look, I know you guys embrace sports analytics too, and in that respect, yesterday I got the expected score quaddy at Caulfield. It was great.
The expected score quaddy.
Oh, dear. Now, Ralphy, they tell me, my social media feed tells me that you're coming off a pretty decent night out last night. You got to see Pearl Jam in front of what looked to be a massive crowd there. Eddie Vedder, is he still going as strong as ever?
Oh, thank God I did after Caulfield. Yes, it was brilliant. I put it probably top 3.
Wow.
All-timer. So,
Jeez, that's excellent.
Springsteen-like, Marvel was full, because I don't normally go to Marvel during the year. So
Come on, mate.
I don't go interstate. But no, it was fantastic. Brilliant venue, and he gave it everything. And actually not one of my real bands, but his performance and the band's performance was something else. Brilliant.
Okay. What about the 2 Group 1s? Let's start off with the Sir Rupert Clarke Stakes. We've spoken to Gary Portelli about the win of Kamochi earlier on, but what about the ride from Craig Williams to make it 7 in the race?
Yeah, it was something special. What I'll do when I go through them, the real theme for yesterday was severe headwinds, and I reckon, I haven't seen Vince's work yet, but I reckon it's cost races 8 to 10 lengths. I mean, basically on a good track, and I know they put a bit of juice in it, but they can't put that much into it. It's basically they've run S7, H8 times, so it's had a massive impact on things. So if you didn't get cover, you're out of play. If you got too far back and too wide, which we'll get to a couple in that Rupert Clarke, you're out of play. So it was a real messy day. So if the rides were perfect, as Craig Williams was on Kamochi, they were able to win and also into those best lanes. So if you sort of couldn't get wide enough, you weren't in A1 either with the rail out 6 metres. Last year they had the rail true and it was on pace, but yesterday with the rail out 6 metres, it's that vulnerable position for leaders, and you want to be those blending runners, but the blending runners, you get the right run, and that's what Kamochi did. Look, she was rock hard fit through a good campaign. Her first up run was terrific. I thought that I couldn't really put her in the black book that time on the work we do because she was going to the Everest, but she found exactly the right class. Another Will had a couple of little scrimmages during the run, and Jimmy Starr, I think, might have got out by now.
It was not pretty viewing for those aboard Jimmy yesterday. The other of the Group 1s, the 1,000 guineas. And another profit, great ride again, Ethan Brown. The timing was great. Aliana outlaid, flashing, and just a touch, just ran out of ground, just a touch too short. Tudane Lizzie was back in third, but another profit, big result for Ethan Brown. And Connections going in with a $41 chance to a Group 1. You're not always entitled to be overly bullish, but when you've got a trainer called Kieran Maher and you're going to a Group 1, that probably takes your nerves away a little bit.
Well, it does. And look, what was the margin there on Derby Day? It was 3.5 lengths, so it's turned around 4 lengths effectively. But Oh, wow. I'm seriously considering putting a workplace bullying claim against you guys for making me watch this replay again. Because I was very keen on Aliana, and in the end, we can look at every bit of data and timing and everything else like that, but the horse has to do it on the day, and it just completely lost its action around the home bend. Nothing to do with the tactics of J-Mac. It just... took 400 metres to get going, didn't it, around that bend? So it actually, I've got no idea how good it's going to be, but it reminded me of some of those Winks defeats, didn't it?
I'm with you, because early on, he was at her early on, so she just, to me, was looking for 2,000 metres yesterday, and that's the way it played out. Yeah. But, wow, I don't know where she goes, but she could be an absolute ripper.
Well, you'd think, Randwick will be her track, and as Flemington was. And what really took me at Flemington was that also was a headwind day, but that day, if you just hooked out, it was barrier trial work, it made up 9 lengths on the leader, all those things that I just like, even though it didn't have that overall time. But, yeah, it didn't put it together, and another profit did. I better just go back quickly to the Rupert Clark too. What do you reckon they're doing with Tuvalu? I mean, it could not have run better first up.
Yeah, not too sure where he goes with it. I don't think it holds a nomination over here. I haven't looked, but
no,
not sure. Maybe Queensland.
Yeah, it could be, or there'll still be some good prize money races coming up here. So I don't think it could have done any more under the circumstances. I don't blame him for going back, but it's not going to win back there, given its assets, real tactical speed. So I think it was the perfect first up run, given they had to change the tactics due to the race shape and the conditions on the day.
Yep.
Step Hardie for third in that race was a nice performance. Ralphy, can we follow it with some confidence heading forward?
I just wonder if it's shown its A game. Daniel Moore rode the perfect race on it, because once he saw Buffalo River out wide and planted there, he was 3 wide with cover, which was absolutely A1 yesterday. So I hope they do. They had such a big boom on it early and just probably didn't really go on with it. They knocked back huge money for Hong Kong, but good on them. I mean, if you're racing with a group of mates and you get your little 5%, it's not going to change your life. That sort of offer as good as it was. So no, I hope they find the right race, but I think certainly Tuvalu in the future. And if they backed up Jimmy Starr in the Cranbourne Cup next week, which would be interesting, because yesterday was effective barrier trial, why couldn't it be really hard to beat?
How about the Country Cup's final, $500,000 race taken out by Torrenzino for Paul Pruska, and Celine Gaudray had a good day. Yeah,
this got me something the other day, guys. I was very happy with this. It couldn't have done much more, could it, on Oaks Day? It was rock hard fit, as was Charterhouse. And they both slung out into the best lanes, and it was late, but they got there, and they ran the 1-2. I think Torrenzino, they're going to have a lot of fun with that. It's still got lightweight yesterday, so whether they go to a Ballarat Cup and have a throw at the stumps there, I wouldn't think it would run poorly at all there. I think it's still got upside. It's learning its craft. Aaron Bay, such a tough horse. I mean, yesterday I was keen to sort of oppose it a bit, because it came off such a brutal run on Cup Day, and it still was in the finish until the last 50 metres. I think the one to follow out of this is Claim the Crown. Jet Stanley took off. Understand what he did, and under any other day, he rode the perfect race, but he got going at about 800 metres, which meant he had 500 metres into the wind, and it's really stuck on well. And unlike a few of these horses, it's early in its prep, so I think they'll have a bit of fun with Claim the Crown this time in over summer.
All right, so jot that one down, Claim the Crown. In the last, the Group 3 How Now Stakes, the punters narrowed it down to 2 key prospects, Neonce and She's Bulletproof, and they were all over it. They got it right. Graham Begg, to his credit, Marty touched on it on the Drive program earlier in the week when he heard the interview with Graham Begg of his runners on the day. He correctly identified Neonce as the one that the punters should be teaming up with. She came out and ran very well there yesterday, found plenty over the concluding stages, thought the runner-up was good too. She's Bulletproof.
You would have been all over it, Ralphie, being Beggy the trainer?
No, he's too good for me. She's Bulletproof, so no damage to me. But this is a strong race, and again, this underlines the type of impact we had. 1:10.9. I mean, these type of horses would have been breaking 1:9.5 if under a normal circumstance. So what it's probably done, though, it's probably got it away with an effective fast barrier trial, so it can keep the picket fence going. She's Bulletproof. This is actually a really strong race for the summer. Miss Roombini, they would have left Caulfield delighted with that run first up, and Cigar Flick, dearie me, that might have gone close. So Cigar Flick is airborne. It's got a really good improving profile. Its PB was at the end of its last prep in Eagle Farm, and they'll find a race or several for it over summer as well.
Okay, question without notice before we get horses to follow from the meeting. Your man Graham Begg has sent across Mahaba. Now, his first time he's ever been to the West, he wouldn't be doing it for the fun of it. Can it aim up over here, Mahaba?
I think it'll run well. I loved what a Western Empire did yesterday. I thought that's the perfect winner bottom trial there. But I think it'll run well. Maybe the Gold Rush might be its best race.
Okay.
But I wouldn't. My head's not rolling off on any of the Eastern Staters over there. And yeah, we've started tracking York Carnival obviously for the last couple of weeks, and I really liked what Western Empire did yesterday.
Okay, horses to follow.
Horses to follow early in the day. Hurricane back to 2,000 metres. I'd be pretty keen on it. Helix is another one, and Miraval Rose from my man Graham Begg. That was the perfect first up run yesterday.
Yes, he did preempt that horse would improve on what it did on the weekend when we heard that interview during the week. Ralphy, always good to catch up. We'll follow all your work on racetrackralphy.com.au. For our listeners who haven't been on there before, you'll be paying attention to the West from now on in?
Yeah, we're doing the Perth Carnival horses to follow, so we started that on November 2. So, yeah, got a bit of a handle already, and yeah, hopefully we can find them all right.
Beautifully done, Ralphy. Appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the remainder of your Sunday.
Good on you, boys.
On The Aftermath, it's time to introduce the 1985 Brownlow medalist from the Footscray Football Club, Brad Hardie. Introducing the boy from Hilton, the AFL guru, Brad Hardie.
Good morning, Bradley.
Morning, Marty. Good morning, Shortte. Good to be with you. And don't forget Soph, of course. Sophie, she's there. What a plethora of sport we had across the weekend, boys. And still coming.
Yes.
22 today here, Shorty. 22 today here. Probably might get a chair or two down at Geelong. You're heading down there, but shouldn't affect the track at all. So looking forward to that.
Beautiful.
Now, we've got to get through a few texts just to get us cracking for Retrovision. Your man there, Mortz. Good morning, boys. Great outside broadcast from the hut by Marty and Richie yesterday. Richie's knowledge of form Australia-wide is outstanding, and he threw out several long-priced winners and place getters. Well done to you both. Regards, Gary. He was on fire yesterday, Richie Bell. Morning, gents. Really enjoyed Friday's racing on the road show at the Broken Hill. Great to have a beer and a laugh with a few of the racing community. Cheers, that is from Crackers. And Crackers was up. So what we did there, Brad, it was a bit of humour.
Yes.
We had a password that you got on the Friday, and if you rocked up to the hut on Saturday with that password, you get a $20 voucher from Tab Touch. Well, do you reckon they would? Crackers was number one.
Oh, yeah, Crackers.
Not Crackers. Wasn't Crackers Keenan, was it? He didn't boil all over, did he, Crackers?
Well, same nickname, different fellow, but same nickname. He previously worked at the Tab many years ago with looking after the terminals and the like, setting up the tracks in the country venues. Lovely guy. I played some Super League indoor cricket with Crackers many years ago. Lovely guy, loves his racing and a great supporter of stuff like racing.
He's only about a third of the man he was. He's lost some weight.
Absolutely
has trimmed up. Good on you, man.
Very fit.
Right, Lisa of Allenbrook, she's weighed in. Morning, boys. Guys, Bryce Cotton's epic return. 33 points. Hope they can win on the road today against the Bullets. Freo, after a fast start, they fell apart in the second quarter and the Crows dominated all over the ground. Dockers players were down on form from last week and looked really tired. Port, only being in the system for 3 years, are in the preliminary and a great comeback, winning by a point against the Hawks, who led it every quarter. Brad, what do you know about Luke Traynor? He's a grandson of the footy legend Doug Wade. The Eagles have strong interest in him for the second-round pick. He's in the under-18s All-Australian as a fullback. He's 194 centimetres. Look forward to catching up the guys at the Brook in Allenbrook in a few weeks. Have a great week, everyone. Lisa of Allenbrook. So let's start off with that question from Lisa about Luke Traynor.
Oh, she's told us all about it. I haven't known of him too much, and that's what they're going to have to do, though. I'm pleased that they look as though they're going to go for something like that, Shorty. They need to worry about what happens after McGovern and Barras. And if young Traynor is that sort of style of footballer, I think it's the way to go.
Brad, the draw come out earlier on in the week from an AFL perspective. Look, the system itself is it's anything but straightforward. It must be said. But if you're a Carlton fan, when you've seen the fixtures come out, you must have just been rubbing your hands together thinking, did they get when they went back and looked at where we finished last year, have they got the right side for who we've been fixtured to play this year? It's one of the great leg ups I've seen in recent years, fixture wise.
Oh, I've been trying to, at pains this week, Shorty. You can understand. I mean, I get it. We all have a bit of fun with it. And it's really grist for the mill for us on the pub stools at the Broken Hill or, the Gateway or wherever we go, talking about, what did you think of this draw? Well, you don't know. As I say, that's the thing. It's an unknown quantity. And why I say that, matey, is because if you're coming into this season, Shorty, you just say, okay, who do you want to play twice? Oh, we want to play North Melbourne twice, West Coast twice. Or we want to play Hawthorn twice. Well, Hawthorn lost their first 5. You thought, yeah. And then look at the way at the end of the season, you didn't want to be playing Hawthorn, did you? I mean, that's the way, that's how quickly it can change. So don't get caught up with it, folks, in worrying about whether you can, because it's all about availability, form, and how you're going and how the opposition is going at the time. Because we saw last year, historically, in the past, the top 8 had been settled by about round 8. Last year, how deep did we go, Shorty? We went absolutely all the way. So I expect the same. So you just have to beat who you play, when you play them, and you judge it on how they're going at the time. And I don't think, look, players won't worry about it. Clubs won't worry about it. They don't look at it in blocks. They look at it in blocks of maybe the first game. They're all anticipating getting away to a good start, and then they might do it in a 2 or a 3. That's about it. They won't go any further than that. They're not looking at who they're playing in round 16 and where and why. They're just going to be worried about getting off the mark. And as I said last week to you boys, your first 5 or 6 games, that's what you want to. You want to come up at 4-2, 3-2, whatever. You don't want to be 1-5 or 0-5 or whatever like Hawthorn were, because you're not going to extricate yourself from that. But my point is, just don't let it bother you, folks, because it's not worth worrying about. You'll drive yourself mad.
Yep, spot on. By the same token, I would like to be coming up against West Coast and North twice rather than, let's say, Hawthorn and maybe Collingwood or Brisbane. Indeed Brisbane or one of those sides. But it'll work itself out in the wash. And as Brad says, you look at Hawthorn and Brisbane, 2 of the sides that were deep in September. If you played them in the first 6 to 8 rounds last season, you actually had really good opportunities to knock both of those 2 sides off. Given when. Yeah, and availability is a big part of it. But one thing it does do when you sit and work it all out and have a look through, Brad, I can't remember enjoying an AFL season much more than what I have the season just gone, because there were so many tight games. There was very little separating, as you said, top to probably sort of 14th on the table, could play each other and still have a really good contest. And it's set to be really similar. There's no sort of club that's screaming out dynasty in the setup at the moment, and that makes it really exciting for most sides and their supporters heading into the new season.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So, as I say, hold your powder dry, folks, and just work through it next year like we did this year, a few weeks at a time. That's it. That'll do us.
One here from Yvonne. She said, I want Brad's take on... Yes, good to have Yvonne on the program. I think that's the way you say it, Yvonne or Yvonne. The Tyson-Paul fight. What was your take on this, Brad?
You're disappointed like most people. I mean, I understood it. I mean, it's what they do these days. It's more about entertainment. It's like the wrestling, WWE, really, isn't it? I mean, they've got a huge following all over the world, and you saw the turnout yesterday, Shorty, 75,000 people, millions across the world. Look, there's no doubt about that. I mean, Tyson can still bang on those pads and that, but, he doesn't have the legs. You could see that when he came down the entranceway, Marty, with a big thing around his leg. I thought, this is not good. This doesn't look good. He didn't want to be hit. He just stayed in there. He stayed upright. Good on him for doing that, but it was what it was. I wouldn't be telling you. Did it help the game of boxing? Not really. But this is what's going to happen going forward, because there's going to be more of the celebrity type style stuff. I think he wants to fight Conor McGregor now. Well, look at the weight difference in that. That's stupid. It's all about entertainment and making money. But it was what it was yesterday. But I'm like everybody else. I think we're all a little bit disappointed.
Brad, a couple of points, and I'll actually go to some comments from Mike Tyson post-fight there yesterday. He growing up, he was the baddest man on the planet, in my opinion. Like he was Mike Tyson's greatest hits is still one of the best hours of any sport that I've watched in my lifetime. His early bouts where he was just dynamite. He had hands that were just so quick. He was so smooth around the ring. To see him there yesterday, basically glued to the middle of the ring, he could barely move. The reflexes and skill set that made him what he was just not there. And kind of, I said to Marty off air, it's kind of like watching Makybe Diva go around in a pony race up the Flemington Straight and running a plodding third, and having the current generation look and go, oh, she wasn't actually much good. I think for anybody that was watching him for the first time yesterday, please don't judge him on that. And I just rated him probably in my lifetime. He's the best boxer I've ever seen. His hands were amazing. And I thought, what's he got to gain out of this? But then I read into it, and he posted on X after the fight. And this is really important to listen to. This is one of those situations when you lost but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get into the ring one last time. I almost died in June. I had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight. So I won. To have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you. Yep. So that gives you just, a bit of an insight into the brain set of Mike Tyson and what it meant to him and why he did it. I don't personally like seeing it because I want to remember him as the baddest man on the planet and the best boxer I've ever seen. But I quickly saw what was going on there yesterday and tuned out pretty swiftly so that those memories weren't left into my banks.
Absolutely. I mean, go back and to say, I remember, I think we all did. I'm older than you guys, but Marty, we're a bit similar. But you get to a stage where you watch Sky Boxing back in the day. He between 1985 and 1986, he had 16 fights. 16. A lot of them ended in the first round. Yeah. But now blokes that these days don't fight once a year.
Exactly.
It's crazy. He was the baddest man on the planet. Even at 50, when he'd retired anyway, I still believe he was the most dangerous heavyweight over 4 rounds because he couldn't go any longer than that. But you have a look at it now. The dimensions are no good. I mean, at least with Paul yesterday, he was 6'1", Tyson in the old 5'10". But if he was fighting today and he's fighting someone like Tyson Fury, 6'9", what chance have you got? 5'10" against 6'9". Yeah. You don't. You don't even get in the ring.
All right, let's talk about basketball now. NBL, the Wildcats have got to play Brisbane today up on the road. They're 208, the Bullets. Wildcats are $1.75 off the big win on Friday night. That was a big win, Brad, because the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix were the most informed team in the comp going into that game.
Yeah, it was just a great reminder, though, too, because I think we'd sort of got not us, but the fans got a bit carried away without Bryce Cotton, with the rib injury and how well they were going. Pinder was doing this and this bloke's doing that. I said, but don't mistake how good this bloke is. Yep. He's a P. And he came back at just a lazy 30-odd, and, they're a much better side with him in. So it's great to have him, and I hope we never lose him because arguing now he goes down into that pub discussion, Shorty at the Gateway, who's the best import that ever been for the Wildcats.
Oh, Bryce Cotton, no doubt about that. Ricky Grace was very good.
Ricky Grace, had a few.
James Crawford was magnificent back in the day. Ken Tiny Pinder himself was a very good player back in the day. But Bryce Cotton's just different gravy. He's an incredible talent, and he's a great citizen as well. Brad, there was chat around when Bryce went down with this injury. A lot of East Coast clubs, particularly in your neck of the woods there in Melbourne, have been prepared to throw the checkbook at Bryce Cotton, and there hasn't been a lot of discussion about whether he's going to re-sign at Perth, and he's a guy that just wants to let his basketball do the talking, and let's get this season done and dusted and let me focus on that, and we'll deal with that later. There were people saying, when he was a little flat starting this season, that could be the end for Cotton, but the way that he has been invested courtside watching his teammates suggests to me that he wants to stay in Perth. It's been his home. It's been, he's so much love here for him. We would absolutely rip the joint down if somebody was to grab him away from us late in his career, Brad. Surely he re-signs and stays a Perth Wildcats man deep in his career.
and we've stated many times, this season has mirrored last year, hasn't it? He couldn't hit the hoop last year, this time last year, and again, all of a sudden, bang! He had one really good one, and away he went. And he'll do it again. And look, the bloke who's got it, I don't know him personally, Mark Arena, he's got plenty, mate, and he won't be letting him go. Why would you? When you've got a franchise player like that, you don't let him go. You do not let him go.
This first game's going to be a beauty too. Melbourne United are playing Adelaide 36ers. Adelaide at home, you just can't get a glove on them. They wiped the floor with Illawarra last week after giving away a big start, but they've got to do it away, and they come up against Melbourne. It's a great afternoon for NBL fans, isn't it? To have watched this game in the Bobcats.
Great games.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's a must viewing this afternoon, and go the Catters. Look, I just found out that I just had a look at a little bit deeper. I'd written a lot of notes down about the draft just for Lisa's benefit. Yeah, Luke Traynor. There's a stack of players coming out of the Sandringham Dragons. It's a sausage factory down there. I remember seeing the kid. He was the one who kicked the winning goal, Shorty, in the Vic Championships last year. He had a bit of a hip problem this year, but I think he'll still be there when West Coast get a choice, but if they don't take Beau Allen, there's something wrong.
Brad, this draft, there's been a lot of discussion in relation to it, but there's most of the really learned, locked-on draft gurus, a lot of them are suggesting don't rule out some real high-quality players getting picked up from 40 to 60 even, which is unheard of because really in years gone by, a lot of the times they're going, well, you're lucky to probably get a bloke that might get 10 games down that deep into the list. But this year they're legitimately saying don't be at all surprised if there's a couple sneak through the cracks in that 40 to 60 range that end up being outstanding footballers.
Well, there's father-sons, like, obviously with Ashcroft, etc., and there's some academy boys, as we know, Lombard and a few of these sort of boys that are sort of going to be around the place, Keiko. So, yeah, you're right, Shorty. Now, I was reliably informed that Lawler would go at number one, but it all depends who you talk to. Some people I spoke to believe Jagger Smith is the best player of the draft, Marty. I know these names mean nothing to our listeners, but you're going to learn more about them. They're all going to be 10-year, 200-game players. I get that. I get that sense, you know what I mean? But as you say, Shorty, it's got to be what order they come. I was reliably informed that North want to pick. They want Taru, but they're happy to exchange pick 2 and get 2 picks further down. Now, initially, because Richmond have got 8 picks inside the first 25 or something, so they're the ones. They're looking at 6 and 10, but Richmond are now thinking, do we really want to give up 6? We might even get a better player. Let's give him. Maybe we might look at 10 and 18. Or something like that. So there's going to be a bit of mystique going in that on Wednesday night. Should be an absolute cracker. Beau Allen's the only kid from WA flying over, which means generally you go top 20, and I think he will. I think he'll go to West Coast. I hope he does because I've always been. We always revere everyone else's. It's about time we start revering our own, and haven't we let a few get through the noose over the years by not going that way?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. They've really got to tighten that one up. Now, can we talk horse racing today? Shortte. Let's have a look at these 3 big races. The sprint, race number 7. It gets underway at 3:30, and this sprinter K Ying Rising, Zach Purton, David Hayes, should just go on its winning way.
Go. I would think so. Very, very smart. Very, very smart. You've got one over there called Joker's Grinner goes all right too. Just yesterday, just quietly.
Talking about
stunning
him
yesterday.
Talk about him a little later on. What about the mile then? The mile race goes at 5 minutes past 4. And, you got Galaxy Patch, also Voyage Bubble, James McDonald. All the best Australian jockeys are riding there today. It's going to be something to behold. And then on to race number 9, and we see Romantic Warrior back. Early prices is about $1.20 in the Jockey Club. That is at $4.40. So no doubt all eyeballs will be on Hong Kong racing there today. This is the final tune-up for International Day.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, Galaxy Patch is just a standout as well. I thought they were tipping, my form analysts were tipping against it first up. Well, how'd that work out?
Yeah, how'd that go?
It didn't work out too well. And of course, Romantic Warrior, we know how good it is. It's just unbelievable. James McDonald aboard. And as I said to the boys on breakfast, who would you like? Who do you ride if it was Via Sistina versus Romantic Warrior? Which one would you be on, Shorty?
Brad, I don't like to be disrespectful to the Hong Kong audience, but what I've seen of Via Sistina over the last 6 weeks, there's only one horse I'd be jumping on. She's been lights out. It's been phenomenal. The Cox Plate win and then return last week and was stunning. And the giveaway's been how J-Max responded. He's normally a very relaxed, calm customer. For him to be really high up in the irons and then just so animated, I think you find that's probably one of the better feels he's ever had on a racetrack, the feel that she's been giving him over the last few rides.
He might change his mind after today. We don't know, do we? We'll have to wait and see. But
Brad,
what a terrible problem to be in.
Sorry, Brad, just cricket. So this is really interesting. So Australia and India have been two powerhouses of the Test arena for a really significant period of time. But we're both in a very similar situation heading into this series in that some of our ageing stars that have been there and delivered time after time are now getting very close to the end of the wick on the candle. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma in particular are two batsmen that are on the wane, and Australia would fancy themselves to be able to get rid of them early doors and really play on them sort of getting towards the end of their time at the crease. And Australia, with our batting line, are a little bit similar, I think. Khawaja's very close to the end. Steve Smith's not in great nick at the moment. Marnus Labuschagne's not been in great nick in recent times. You're going to have a newcomer to the Test arena come into that top five. To me, I think it's going to come down to the middle order of both sides. And so, for me, I'm looking at Travis Head, particularly for Australia. He's been our absolute rolled gold, reliable go-to man in any format of the game in recent times. But in Test match cricket particularly, because he gets shielded and plays that middle order role, he's unlikely to get that absolute jaffa that you get if you bat towards the top of the order. There's two bets that I'm really keen to have through the series. So we've got the 5 tests to cover us if it doesn't go to plan in 1 or 2 innings. Travis Head, I think, will be the leading run scorer for Australia. I'm really confident that he'll come back and get the job done. He's been our best player for a significant period of time. He gets coverage batting down the order. I think he will star in this series. The other is Jasprit Bumrah for India. He has continually caused headaches for the Australian top order time and time again, with Smith, Labuschagne and also Khawaja getting a little older. Bumrah's the sort of guy that most wickets India and Head most runs Australia. I think they're a really solid double.
Well, let's hope that word you yielded was shielded. Let's hope that Head does get a bit of shielding from the top order, because it's not going to be pretty if it doesn't. But what's the weather like this week, Marty, over there? Because that'll have a little bit of an impact on the pitch.
It's been really weird for November. This southeast that keeps blowing, so we're going to have more of that, a little bit of a warm day, then it comes back off to 25, that sort of weather going on at the moment. Just a quick one on the cricket at the moment too. There's a game on, and West Indies are trying to chase down England in this T20 again, and what are they? I think they need about 18 runs off 14 balls at the moment, so they might do it again. 16 from 13 they need at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. What about last night, of course?
It has, yeah.
The Pakistanis were out at the SCG doing catching practice this morning. Fair dinkum.
Oh, wow.
What about that last night?
Some howlers, some absolute howlers that you'd expect to be taken in junior cricket that was spilled. But it must be said, it's not new for Pakistan.
They've been very good at it.
They have got some really gifted, talented, outright batsmen and bowlers and the like. But
don't really like that.
Fielding's always
can't catch a cold.
It's been one of those things that hasn't quite been sharpened up on the way through.
I call it alligator sitting on a fence trying to catch a ball. You snap.
Snapping.
There was nothing, just snapping. Throw him a fish. But I was just going to say, great. And you talked about the other boys. It should be a fantastic India. Obviously with Kohli, there's a bit of obviously question marks over his form and all of that sort of stuff. A brilliant story. I don't know if it made its way to the West, but Robert Craddock did it about Sachin Tendulkar when they decided they were going to drop him, but no one wanted to tell him because he'd be public enemy number one. So they think Virat Kohli's in the same boat because he'll retire when Virat wants to retire. No one's going to tell him. That's for sure. I thought that was quite funny.
Spot on. They become very powerful people within Indian society, and we know that the BCCI run world cricket, so you just curtail to what they need to be done. Just on that game quickly yesterday, Brad, wanted to give a shout out to Spencer Johnson for the Aussies, a young guy.
Yeah, great effort.
With our ageing sort of Test outfit at the moment, it's similar with the bowlers. Paddy Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, and Mitch Stark. They've all had very heavy workloads for a significant period of time, and fortunately for all three, they've actually been really durable and tough, and they haven't missed many games. But as fast bowlers, that's rare for that to happen. So you start looking to that rung below and who's there. And Johnson's a young guy that's starting to put his hand up big time. I think even from a red ball perspective, he's dangerous. Bartlett's a great swing bowler. He's a bit of a throwback to sort of my age growing up, watching guys like Terry Alderman swing the ball around and Adam Dale, and he has got that ability to really swing that ball late. So that's his real one wood. Probably more of a white ball bowler than a red ball bowler, Bartlett, but certainly Johnson. And Nice is the guy that's now out injured, but he's been there bowling sort of in and around it. And from a WA perspective, we've got 3 quicks that are all injury prone, but they're all very talented at their best. So I know Jai Richardson's on the comeback trail at the moment as we speak. Lance Morris is very, very slippery, and Marley Beardman's the other one that's only very young, but he's already been picked up and looked at by a number of Australian outfits, and very strong future predicted for all 3 of those. And they're all tearaway cricks, Bradley. They can bowl very swift.
Yeah, my word, couldn't agree with you more. And the one thing I just wanted to give, as I said, it was given the Edgar Brits, was George Bailey in regards to his comments during the week. I mean, Cam Bancroft unfortunately hasn't backed us up. We've all been hoping that he'd come good. He can't even buy a run at the Shield level out again cheaply yesterday here. But I hated that line from George Bailey. Because of the Test Championship, Marty, they said, we're picking for the now. Well, what happened when Bancroft and Harris and all that were making all those runs and the other blokes were struggling? There was no picking for now then, was there? So, yeah, it's just amazing the narrative they use when they want to use it, that's all.
Okay, let's find our Sunday saviour for Bradley.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Let's go to Donald Race 1. Now, we're taking this one for the place, Marty. Yeah, Donald Race 1 number. We're going to get the money early, Shorty. Donald Race 1 number 14. Wallamia Angel. It's $2.20 for the place. Put in, take out, folks. It will not miss the top 3, that one.
Okay.
Geelong Race 2 number 5. Hot Diggity Boom. I think everybody's got that one, the red lighter. Even money, $2 there. And I hope they all got the cash on Friday night, Marty, as we threw that one out for the punters on Thursday. Townsville Race 1 number 3, Gold Classic. It'll win again, $3.80 in a small field. So, Wallamia Angel at Donald Race 1, number 14, $2.20 the place. Geelong Race 2, number 5, Hot Diggity Boom, $2 to win. And Townsville Race 1, number 3, Gold Classic Shorty, $3.80 the value there, $16.72 for Ginger and I.
Oh, Bradley, and
can't wait.
Talk about Friday night. What about the old grey mare, Queen Takes King, in the road to the Jericho? She lit it up. Shane Jackson, we'll get him on drive during the week. But heading towards the Jericho in 2.5 weeks, he's got the old grey mare flying. What a win.
He is.
Wasn't there a bit going on in that race too, Bradley?
There was. There was a heap going on.
Yeah, they're still trying to work that one out in the stewards' room, so somebody's got to pay, that's for sure. But for Group 1, Morts, he's an absolute champion. In 17 stores, got to be one near you. That one up near Lisa, as a matter of fact. Ellenbrook. He's flying, he tells me. Don't forget the Nude Nut, 1-800-100-100 Shorty, and you blokes are on fire over there in the real estate market. So if you want to get involved, he's the man to see, because he can do things the banks can't. And don't forget our great mate Frankie Lee out there at Ross's Auctions. Always get a bottle of red off Frankie on the online auctions on a Friday afternoon, Shorty. Got to check it out, boys.
Thank you, Bradley.
Cheers, Brad.
All the best.
Blah, blah, blah. Let Marty Young and David Shortte do all the talking on the Aftermath.
And
Sunday morning at its best on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Went a bit early there. Our very good mate Chris Pike joins us as well. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
What about Wildcats Friday night? You and me, we were a little bit against them Friday night, but they were fantastic.
Yeah, they were terrific. We thought that the Phoenix defence might hold up and they might be able to put the clamps on them, but what a return from Bryce Cotton. He missed a month with a rib injury and showed absolutely no signs of it at all. He puts up 33 points, plays 32 minutes and leads his team to a victory. They put up 97 points on a team that's only been conceding 75 over their last 7 games. So it was an impressive performance, and you know, with Bryce at the helm and everybody else finding their roles around them, it was a great performance. And as long as they back it up today and beat Brisbane in Brisbane, they go into the fever break next week with a bit of momentum and I think looming pretty ominous for the second half of the NBL season.
It's a wide open NBL season. Each side, there's not one side that hasn't at some stage shown you that they look pretty good, and then at other stages they've looked pedestrian. The Wildcats, though, with Cotton back in, look a different side. That was a great win. They gave South East Melbourne a head start too there on Friday night. They had to work their way back into the contest, but I thought their second half in particular was electric, and like the game from Windler as well. It was probably one of his better performances. We know him as a rebounder, but he showed us that he's got that shooting game there as well there on Friday night, Pikey.
Oh, his shooting touch was fantastic. He made 4 3-pointers, and I think he only missed one shot for the entire night. So I mean, it looks a little bit awkward on his left hand with his shot, but it's very effective, and he probably didn't get the rebounds that we know he can get. He's usually going to be a double-digit rebounder most nights, but yeah, when his shot's falling like that, and that's what you need to make Bryce extra dangerous. You need to have other shooting options around him, so then the opposition can't just double and triple team Bryce if they know that there's other good shooters around him. So that's where he becomes extra important. The fact that, Bryce goes for 33 points, but then Windler chips in with 20 to get 53 points between those two guys. It's a nice little double weapon to have. And you got Christian Doolittle, who's a threat all the time, and Eitan Almanza, the next star, is finding his feet as well. He's looking very impressive. They outscored the Phoenix by 28 points in the 21 minutes that Almanza played on Friday night. So he's really finding his feet, and I think he's looming to be probably the highest draft pick out of this next star class. I think he'll go pretty high. I think in the first round. If he keeps going the way he is. So, yeah, there's a lot to like. I mean, we just didn't know how Bryce would come back. He's been out for a month, and you just don't know how he'll come back and how the rib is feeling. Is he still going to be able to play with that same confidence to throw his body in there and to play as physically as he did? But, there was no signs of that. He got to the foul line 14 times. He got to the foul line on his own more than the entire Phoenix team did, as you might have seen the Phoenix coach, Josh King, talk about after the game. He was a little bit shocked by his first experience in Perth at being on the wrong end of the whistle, but the Wildcats did earn a lot of those fouls as well. They attacked the basket. The Phoenix's pressure defense, they like to play up in your grill, and they probably did foul the Wildcats most of those times as well. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about what the Wildcats did.
Okay, Pikey, these other games quickly. Jack Jumpers, they were building up to that win at home. They got the Bullets at the right time, but, gee, they just beat them 95-92. And then the Breakers, 77, beat Cairns away 69. Cairns just can't find a win anywhere. And Breakers have won 4 of their last 5 now. They've got rolling. And then the Hawks, they needed this win against the Sydney Kings. I think they worked on their defence to beat the Kings 86-79. Those 3 games?
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. The Hawks back at home, like we talked about on Wednesday, Marty, they got back to the basketball we thought they would show. So they locked in on the Kings. The Kings have got some problems, but the Hawks were back to their I felt like they had their hard hats back on again. They got back to working hard. The New Zealand Breakers, they got the job done. They were pretty good in Cairns defensively. Rob Edwards went for 33 points for the Taipans. He scored 33 of their 69 points, but he fouled out with 6 minutes to go. So that helped the Breakers' cause, and they're about to make an import change as well. So Freddie Gillespie just played his last game, and the 7'6" monster Taco Fall. We'll see him with the Breakers after the FIBA break, and Jack Jumpers found some points.
7'6"
he is. Yeah, he's had a taste of playing in the NBA, and now we're about to see him in the NBA.
What's his name, this guy?
Taco Fall. So it's going to be fascinating how he goes, if he can actually get up and down the NBL court, because we play at a pretty fast tempo. So he's going to be playing at a different tempo than everybody else. So it's going to be fascinating to see how he goes in 2 weeks' time. And you mentioned the Jack Jumpers. They found some points, 95 points they put on the board. Milton Doyle had 32 of them, and they got Sean McDonald back, who made an instant impact, and Will Magnay was terrific as well. So I wouldn't be writing off the defending champs just yet either.
Couple of wonderful games today. You just pop yourself up there on the pool couch at home and enjoy the afternoon of NBL action. We've got Melbourne United 11:30 tip-off taking on the Adelaide 36ers. $1.56 Melbourne United, 36ers 2.43. Line betting -3.5. Melbourne United's gone off to win by 4 or more. That's into $1.87. 36 with a +3.5 head starts out to $1.93. Game total at 182. And 1:30 tip-off Brisbane host Perth. The Bullets 208, Wildcats 175. Line betting at 2 points and game total there 182.5. Let's go through these two games. Home court advantage looks the key for Melbourne United in their clash against the Adelaide 36ers.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Adelaide are conceding 23 more points on the road than they are at home so far this season, so they just need to find a way to make their defence travel a little bit, because if they're giving up 104 points to Melbourne again today, then they're going to lose this game. So they need to lock in a little bit better defensively, but we saw Melbourne put up 226 points in their 2 games last week, and Chris Goulding had that explosion in the third quarter against the Wildcats, and Rob Lowe a couple of days earlier put up his first 30-point game of his NBL career as well. So until I see Adelaide able to play their defence on the road, I can't go with them. So I think Melbourne will get this win and move back into top spot heading into the fever break.
All right, and the Wildcats hit the road to take on the Bullets, $1.75. The Wildcats, this is a really good opportunity for them to get a road win here. The Wildcats, fresh off that confidence from Friday night, Cotton back into the side. The Bullets are still probably ranked in the bottom 2 or 3 sides in the competition, so Perth aren't going to get many better opportunities on the road than what they get this afternoon here.
No, it's a great point, and we've seen them struggle the last couple of weeks playing the second half of these double headers when they've had to play at home either on a Thursday or Friday and then away on a Saturday or Sunday. But this time, both teams in a similar position. So Brisbane played in Hobart on Friday night, Perth played in Perth. So heading back to Brisbane for this game, both teams are in a similar situation. So they're not disadvantaged by that. And I think they're just too talented for Brisbane. I think they're too athletic and too talented. So I think they'll just be able to score too many points. A massive job for the Bullets captain, Mitch Norton, to try to chase around his old teammate Bryce Cotton as well. So he'll do his best, but I imagine another big game for Bryce. And, yeah, the Wildcats will just have too much firepower. So I think they'll be too good for the Bullets. And for them to be 7-6 if they are able to get this win going into this break next week, given they were without Bryce for 5 of those games, I think it's a pretty good result. So, yeah, it's a win they need to get, because I think they're a much better team than the Bullets. And if they do, I think they'll be pretty happy with where they're placed right now.
Hey, Chris, I've done a bit of work on your man, Taco Fall. He's, as you said, 7'6", one of the tallest living humans on the planet, holds all sort of records in the NBA. He's been
Is he a thin 7'6", or is he a well put together 7'6"?
But he's 140 kilos, but he's athletic.
Okay.
And he's been...
No, he's actually pretty well built. He's not one of those tall stick figures, no.
No, and he's been with Boston, he's played with Cleveland, but the talent scout who found him, he didn't get many votes for this one. He was 7'2" when he was 15.
That was his comment on him.
So, well, we might give you a basketball champ and see how you go.
Way you go. Absolutely. Not a bad option from there, I would have thought. I'd be interested to see what sort of impact he has on the league. One thing's for sure, when you've got a man, I mean, these guys are locked in rolled gold professionals, but when you've got a man of that size, and just imagine his wingspan when he puts his hand up to guard, you've got to very quickly come up with a pretty decent rainbow shot to get the ball over the top of him.
Wingspan, 8 foot. Or 2.25 metres.
Wow, that's a big dude. That is a big dude. I can't wait to see him. He'll be an interesting addition in the back half of this NBL season.
He's a lot of flying, playing for the Breakers.
They'd want to have him as a seat. They'd want to have a seat for him up towards the front of the plane just quietly. I don't know how he'd go in economy. Great catching up with you, Pike. You're a legend. Appreciate your time on this Sunday, mate. Enjoy both of these NBL games, and Marty and the crew on Drive will catch up with you this upcoming week.
I look forward to it. Thanks very much, guys.
racing. Power and Glory fair. Miss Envy got away well. So did Poor Kramer. Driving forward was Dadala Stigl, and Power and Glory hustling through but wants to get up the track. Getting a bad check there was Follow the Band is out of play, and My Anarchy Boy got checked as well. Down the back, the leader was Miss Envy. Gets clear by 2 lengths. After it was Poor Kramer. Around the outside goes Power and Glory, and then came Ethanol Volume on the outside. It's Miss Envy in front. She's clear by 5. Trying hard was Power and Glory, but Miss Envy too good. Won it by 3.5, and then Old Volume got the second. Power and Glory got third.
Outstanding. We love seeing the West Aussie animals hitting the road and getting the job done in big series over on the East Coast, and that's exactly what we saw there in the Melbourne Cup prelude at Sandown Park on Friday night, with Miss Envy getting the job done for Crystal and Steve. Shinners, Steve's been good enough to take our call on this Sunday morning. Welcome to the Aftermath, Steve. Great to be catching up there, and congratulations. Miss Envy was a wonderful performance there, taking out Melbourne Cup prelude on Friday night there at Sandown.
Yeah, morning, Shorty. Morning, Marty. How you going?
Hey, Steve. It was a super run, and she came up against a very high-quality outfit. Ethanol Volume's a very talented sprinter/stayer, and the Sydney sider, Power and Glory, was well thought of off the inside draw. There are no easy beats. So the other West Aussie, My Anarchy Boy, was in the same race. It was chock full of quality, the race, but Miss Envy once again stepping up to the plate and getting the job done. What a professional young race bitch she is.
Yeah, no, she's a star, Shorty. Probably very stiff to miss the Top Gun, we thought, and a lot of people thought the same thing, and, going by a record. But, yeah, look, it was a bit frustrating because we had to sort of save her out for that. So she sort of missed a few runs and didn't have any hard runs under her belt, and we could only trial her there the Friday before. We just give her a box-to-box, so she only basically ran 350. So I said to Cal, I said, look, we'll put her in the preludes, even though she didn't have to go in. She needed a hard run. So, yeah, look, she'll strip a little bit fitter from that, and look, they put up the 380, which I thought was very disrespectful, but we weren't complaining. So we had a bit of a nibble at that, and the boys were all pretty pumped. So, look, she's just the absolute competitor, and, look, she'll put herself in good stead in the heats, hopefully.
Absolutely. And the other runner that you had on the night, Transcendent, I thought was absolutely magnificent in defeat up against Joey the Jet. The dog continues to race in grand style. You've got a 1-2 hit here. La Sagrada's another member of that same litter that you're racing with great success, heading into the Melbourne Cup heats there next week. Steve, how many will you be nominating, and are they over in Melbourne, or have you brought the dogs home and will be flying back over? What's the travel regime for them?
No, I left them there with Cal Greeno and Jackie and Bradley. Like, Cal's my mentor, has been there for years. So I've known Cal for like 30-something years now, so they're in good hands there. I left, so Transcendent and Miss Envy are there. La Sagrada, she had a bit of a setback after she ran second in the Young Stars up in Wentworth Park, but all going well. She trials okay at Mandurah tomorrow night. Me and Crystal are heading over on the Wednesday. And we'll stay there for the heats on the Saturday night and probably come back Sunday. All going well. She'll probably come across with us, and we'll set her for the Laurels over there as well. So she was going to step up in distance, but having that setback now, we've had to sort of change plans. And, yeah, look, she's a very good bitch in her own right as well. There's not a lot between the three of them on ability, to be truthful. So, yeah, fingers crossed she puts in a good trial tomorrow.
Steve, you've had a lot of really talented greyhounds in your lifetime as a trainer, but initially being from Victoria, I'm sure the Melbourne Cup is a race that is probably on top of your list as far as races that you'd really love to win and dream of winning on the way through. You're going to head into the series with 3 really talented young dogs. What are your confidence levels like, and is it a race that you've always dreamed of winning?
Oh, definitely, Shorty. As a young fella growing up, you go out there every year and you dream that you get there the next year, and they're not, as you know, they're not easy to win. We've had some pretty quick dogs and had some bad boxes in the heats and that, and haven't actually got through to the final. I think Obie Hay was very unlucky, got skittled on the first corner and missed the final just. And anyway, came out and ran faster than the final the next week, and she ended up being a champion stayer. But it's always been very high up on the list. There's obviously races worth a lot more money these days, but the prestige of the Melbourne Cups is one of those things when you first get in the dogs, there's an aura about it, and it'd be definitely great to win. And as you know, Cal's like my mentor, and to have him there and Jackie and that, and now young Bradley's grandson there looking after the dogs, it's just, it'd be a massive thrill. So, And for Crystal as well, she's never experienced the heat, so she's coming across there. And it's like, as you know, the heats are usually a bigger night than the final, so it should be a great experience there as well. So
they've got the winning feeling, the camp as well, after Big Energy took out the Group 3 shootout there at Sandown Park on Friday as well. So a good place to be. You're in good hands over there. And shout out as well, Crystal, we believe she's running 50 Ks this morning. Is that right?
No, she just finished it. I just came down. We're at Dunsborough. She did her 50K Friday night up at 2 in the morning and came down and supported her. And, it was a beach run from Dunsborough up to Bustleton along the beach and then back again. Yeah, she's crazy. She loves all that stuff. And, look, she's amazing. And, she supports me and we support her as well for her running. So nice to get away for a couple of days from the dogs. And, we're just heading back today. So.
Excellent. Well, make sure you've got the massage gun out for the drive home there, Stevie, to make sure the cramping and the like doesn't go through. That's a wonderful effort, 50K run, my goodness. Well done, too, on the dogs. You're flying the flag for WA with distinction over there, mate. We'll get right behind the dogs in the build-up to the Melbourne Cup Series and hope you can bring the cup back to WA. Good luck.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Shorty. Thanks, Marty.
Good on you, Steve. You're a star. Jay Rooney's a star as well. He joins us. He's from the South China Morning Post. A very good morning, Jay.
Morning, guys. How are we going?
We're going well. You've got 3 big ones coming your way today. You must be excited. Tell us about, first off, the 1,200-metre Jockey Club Sprint, race number 7. Is it all about K Ying Rising and your man, Hazy?
I think it is. He's rated one of the world's best sprinters already, and he hasn't even won a Group 1 yet, but he's that dominant a force on the rise. You just feel like he'll be winning again, and last time out, he went so close to the track record and was eased down late by Zach Purden. I know he's drawn barrier 10 today, but I feel like just the form he's in, he's taking all before him. So, expecting him to be very hard to beat. It'll be short odds again, I'm sure, but, he's definitely the one to beat.
What about in the mile today? Galaxy Patch has put together a wonderful winning record, returned with a victory in recent times. Does this just come out and get the job done there in the mile this afternoon there, race number 8, Jay?
Well, I think so. I'm in his corner, and it's easy to be in his corner because he's another great horse on the rise. But out of the 3 Group 2 races, if one of the favourites were to be beaten, it's probably in this race. Voyage Bubble's got great claims after he was wide throughout behind Galaxy Patch last time out. J-Mac jumps on board as well. Even a horse like Beauty Joy could probably run a good race as well. But I'm still with Galaxy Patch. He's won 7 of 13. He's won his last 3 and just looks like he'll be tailor-made for the Hong Kong Mile in 3 weeks' time.
Is there any betting Romantic Warrior in the Jockey Club Cup over the 2,000 metres?
I think I've seen about $1.20 around this morning, which is understandable because he's just one of the best horses in the world and absolutely pitched into this race. Only a few more kilos above some sort of average horses, I suppose you could say, as you put a blanket over the rest of the field. They're all sort of staying 2,000-metre types that are handy enough on their day, but probably no superstars in there at all. So, Romantic Warrior should be winning that.
Okay, apart from these 3, have you got a best for our listeners?
Yeah, race 1, number 1, Blazing Wind. Expecting him to get J-Mac off the board in the first. Race 2, number 10, Wind Speed. He's a last start winner for the Mark Newnham stable. Expecting him to be quite hard to beat. Slightly better value there as well. And a value play would be race 10, number 2, Gracious Express. Should have got a lot closer in his last 2 runs. Drawn midfield, Hugh Bowman hopping on board. He might be an each way play potentially. So race 10, number 2 as well.
Thanks, Jay, for the South China Morning Post and the Hong Kong Jockey Club. We'll do it again on Wednesday. All the best. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, guys.
There is Jay Rooney. Thanks for coming in, David.
Thank you, Marty. Have a great Sunday, punters.